In this episode of Retiring Today, how to successfully go from saving to spending.
How and when to take income, planning for taxes and inflation.
Turning your life savings into income right now on Retiring Today. Welcome to Retiring Today. In this episode, we're talking about turning your life savings into income. I'm here with Loren Merkle. He's a certified financial planner. And Loren, every day you sit down with families and individuals who are 10 years or less from retirement. And really, what we're going to do for income, that is one of their biggest concerns.
It's one of the top concerns of retirees. In fact, there's a study out there that says 76% of retirees' income generation is their top priority, which makes sense. Because you work for 30, 40 years, and the reason you're working is to deliver that income, to maintain the lifestyle that you want to maintain. And then when you retire, that W-2 income goes away. So we still need income. Now the question is where is that income gonna come from? How much can we generate not only at point of retirement, but also 20, 30 years down the road, taking into consideration inflation and taxation. And also the main concern, you still need to do all the things that you love to do.
Yeah, and that's what you want to help families do. You want to help them plan for kind of that 30-year vacation that is retirement. And today's show is going to focus a lot on the income planning piece and some of the things that you should be thinking about, some of the things you should be asking your advisor about, and how you work with a retirement specialist to do that. But Loren, we also want to make sure that people realize this income planning, it's just one piece of a method that you use every single day to help families successfully retire.
This method is called the Merkle retirement method. After 21 years of helping people successfully retire, what we've done is we've boiled all the top concerns, all the top priorities of pre-retirees and retirees into 5 simple planning components. And that's what we call the Merkle retirement method. So the first one is the income. And that's the emphasis of today's show, as you had mentioned, Molly. But it's really hard to focus on income and income alone without talking about the taxation effect of the income that you receive, the inflation effect of the income that you receive down the road. But then also we have the estate planning piece. Everybody's gonna have their last day. It's just a matter of what happens to what's left over when you encounter that last day. And then we also have the healthcare and long-term care piece.
And retiring has changed. You know, there was a time when people could rely on maybe just a pension or maybe even have Social Security be a really big piece of retirement. That's not really the case anymore.
We don't have to go back that far. We're just talking 20, even 25 years ago. The vast majority of income for retirees was generated through the pension plans from their employers and also from Social Security. I just think about my grandpa when he retired in the mid-80s, Social Security, pension from Ford Motor Company out of Detroit, Michigan, and then a little bit of savings. Grandpa traveled around the country for 30 years in retirement in their motorhome and had a wonderful time. Some of those times I was lucky I got to go with them. It was a lot of fun. But today is different. Today's different. Most pension plans have gone away. Only about 15% of retirees have access to a pension plan. So it's largely retirees, pre-retirees, the income is largely incumbent upon what they have saved and how they use those savings in retirement.
And so no matter what you have used to plan for retirement, 401k, pension, Social Security, some savings, you do though have to make a big mental switch when you move into retirement from saving to spending.
This is one of the unanticipated areas of concern for retirees, so not pre-retirees. A lot of pre-retirees are not thinking about making that mental transition, that mindset change. But all of a sudden they retire, they need the income, they have Social Security, maybe a pension if they're lucky, and now they have to start taking out of these investments, which their whole mindset has been for all these years. Put as much money away as they can, build up this big pot of money, and that transition is a monster for some retirees, many more than what would be anticipated. So it is very much a different way of thinking, that all of a sudden you have a finite amount of resources that you have to rely on and you don't want to run out.
And a well thought out, customized retirement plan can kind of ease that burden of transitioning from saving to spending. So the next thing we want to do is talk about what a good income plan in retirement can look like. And Loren, there's really some key elements people should be thinking about.
There are key elements. Each one of the 5 components of the plan has subcomponents. And with the income components, no different. So there's 3 key subcomponents that belong with the income piece that we're gonna cover right now. And the first one is the income gap. And just over the last few years, I would say probably the last 3 years, we went from having 1 potential income gap to now 2 potential income gaps for many people, and we'll talk about what those 2 are. The first one is if you have a pension, most people do have Social Security, what amounts are you receiving from those guaranteed income sources, and then what is the difference between that amount and the actual amount you need to live on to maintain your lifestyle? So just an example, between pension and Social Security, let's say you're getting $3,000 a month, you need $5,000 a month. You have a $2,000 a month income gap that now you have to solve from the investable assets, from your savings. And now how you go about solving that distribution, that income gap from the savings, is absolutely critical on many points. One is, how long is it going to last you? Are you going to run out of time prior to running out of money? And then how much are you going to pay in taxation on this income gap? Because most retirees, most pre-retirees, the majority of their retirement money is in this pre-tax bucket. There's $27 trillion in the country in pre-tax money. That's the majority of the retirement money. So when we take money from this pre-tax bucket, it is all taxed at ordinary income. You throw in Social Security, throw in pension. Now this tax equation can get out of control in a big hurry. So how do we solve that?
And another problem retirees need to solve is how to pay for health care.
This is that second income gap that didn't really exist 2-3 years ago, because the expense that's involved in you providing yourself with health care. So I'm not talking about the group coverage that you have from work. I'm not talking about COBRA coverage, which is 18 months that you have available afterwards. I'm talking if you go to the open market and try to purchase individual health care coverage, it will cost a couple somewhere between $1,800 a month to maybe $2,500 a month. If you're single, maybe you just cut that in half. So 63 and a half has never been such an important age. And we teach these passport classes, Molly. A lot of times in the passport class, I'll ask the audience, I'll say, when's the last time you celebrated a half birthday? It probably when you were like my daughter's age, 7 and a half, right? The 63 and a half time frame has never been more important for pre-retirees, because now you can use COBRA coverage for 18 months to get you to 65, which is where you're eligible for Medicare. And Medicare is much more affordable for most people than what the open market insurance is. So that is another income gap of how do we account for that healthcare coverage if you have COBRA available, or if you have to go shop in the open market, or maybe use the Affordable Care Act coverage, and there's a lot of nuance that comes with that too. However you do it, there's a multitude of ways, like most issues in pre-retirement and retirement planning. However you choose to do it, you just need to evaluate all the options available to you and make sure you make the best choice possible to bridge that gap.
And we're talking about a successful retirement income plan. And this gets a little bit complicated, but again, it's something you've got to be thinking about with a professional most of the time, with a retirement advisor, and it's withdrawal orders from accounts. What's important here?
This is a tricky one, because when you think about retiring, all you're thinking about is this magical time frame where you have all this freedom, all this luxury of time, and you can do whatever you want to. The last thing most people who are thinking about when they're in their 50s is, when I do retire, where am I going to take this income from? Am I going to take it from the pre-tax bucket? Am I going to take it from the Roth bucket? Am I going to take it from the non-qualified bucket? Because each one of those buckets are taxed differently. And we talk with our families, we talk at the passport class all the time about the importance of having tax diversification. You have different buckets of money that all are taxed differently when you withdraw them. And if you put yourself in that position, or if you're working towards putting yourself in that position, when you actually need income from this, now you have a lot more control, a lot more flexibility about the actual dollar amount you pay in tax, because you can structure it in a way where you pay less tax and you increase your spendable income. And with the withdrawal orders, that is by far the most important point. It's all about maximizing what you get to spend, decreasing what you have to pay in taxes, and making sure your resources, your money lasts as long as you can through retirement.
More money in their pocket is definitely what most retirees want to have conversations about. And expenses, that's another big piece of this retirement income plan. What's important here?
One of the biggest things about expenses, and this is kind of a dirty word for a lot of retirees, is budget. Budget. Most people who are on the cusp of retiring, they have not had to worry about a budget for 10, 15, basically since the kids got out of college or left the house. But now it's important to have a good understanding of what your lifestyle really costs you. So am I saying you have to penny pinch everything and count every single dime? No. But what I am saying is that it's important to say, does your lifestyle, all the things that you enjoy to do, does it cost you $4,000 a month? Does it cost you $10,000 a month? What does that cost you to do? Because we need to incorporate that overall within the plan. Because when your income goes away, everybody, you, your advisor, everybody needs to know how much money is going to have to come from all of these different resources, and the timing on when the money comes from Social Security, when the money comes from your investments, when the money comes from your pension. All of that is really vital. So I know it's not the most fun exercise to do. It's not the most fun thing to think about, but we need to have an idea of what it is it's going to take you to maintain that lifestyle to make sure you can do all the things you want to do.
And how and when to spend this money is not something you have to figure out on your own. You really should get it in a comprehensive, customizable plan.
It absolutely needs to be in writing, and we call that the Merkle retirement method. That's what we do here. It's a written, comprehensive plan that encompasses all the concerns and things that you may have to address as you go through retirement, such as income. Where are you going to take the income from? How much can you receive? And one of the cool parts about the income plan is sometimes people think they can only spend, let's call it $3,000 a month. But based on the written plan and all the analysis, we can determine maybe you can spend $4,000 a month and still not have a problem with running out. But the key is that it has to be in writing. There's been study after study that says any goal that you want to accomplish, that you're going to have a higher probability of achieving that goal if it's in writing. Is essentially there's a checklist of saying, here's the different steps, here's the different things that we need to keep track of or accomplish, and check them off as we go. And that's what the Merkle retirement planning method does.
And I've heard you say that's one of your favorite parts of the job, is to deliver that plan and say, here it is, take it and run, come back and see us if you want to readjust it, or just take it and run.
It's one of the most favorite parts of the job, most rewarding parts, because very much of what we do is very intangible. There's not a lot of tangibility to saying you're going to save 20% on taxes over the course of your life, right? But sitting across the table from somebody and saying, here's the income you can receive now. We're going to be okay 20 years from now. If you have a long-term care need and you need an extra $6,000 a month, here's how we're going to tackle that issue. And then just kind of seeing the anxiety kind of wash away from their faces. It's by far one of the most rewarding parts of what we do.
And some of the people who are watching maybe are still in those accumulation years, so they've really just been investing, maybe have some products that they've been investing in, which is a good thing. So maybe they haven't had this conversation with a professional. If they're at home, should they be worried, or what's your advice?
With the type of retirement planning that we do, with the type of retirement planning that we're talking about here today, I think it's important to start getting your ducks in order about 10 years out from retiring. But if you're 2 years out, or sometimes even if you're already retired, it doesn't mean it's necessarily too late. This is just the ideal. Now, planning is essential as soon as you possibly can. So if you're 20 years old out there, there are steps that you can take to put yourself in a much better position for that long time down the road when you do retire. But for the type of planning we're talking about, and that's why the Passport class is really geared for those who are 55 plus, 10 years from retirement or already retired.
Okay, so if your advisor isn't maybe talking about it with you right now, it's not really their fault. It just means maybe retirement isn't their specialty. So that is your specialty. It's what you love to do. It's how you love to help people retire every day.
Well, that's a key point, because a lot of times people come to the class or people come to our office and they say, I have an advisor. I love my advisors. I worked with my advisor for the last 10 years, almost a family friend, but he's not talking or she's not talking to me about any of this stuff. Why is that? And it's not that you have a bad advisor, or it's not even your advisor's fault. It's just there's different types of advisors and they specialize on different things. If you're 20 years old and you come to me, I'm not going to be talking to you about the types of things that you need to be addressing, because that's not what we do. So what's important for you is to understand what capacity does your advisor work, what are their specialties. If they're not talking to you about this stuff proactively, it's because that's not what they do. They're an accumulation advisor. There's accumulation advisors and there's retirement planners. We're retirement planners, that's why we are talking about these things. So you just need to match up the advisor you're working with the phase of your life and the issues that are of most concern to you.
Okay, we'll continue talking about some of those issues that are of most concern to retirees, including going from saving to spending when retiring today continues.
You have worked for a long time. There are so many decisions to make about your retirement. How much income do you need? How not to run out of money? Now is your chance, and you get one shot to get it right. Attend Merkle Retirement Planning's Passport to Retirement. We will discuss how to create tax-free income, how to avoid the next market meltdown, and how to wring every dime out of Social Security. Your time is now. Classes fill quickly. Call or text today. Zero cost to attend.
You made it. Years of hard work, investing, planning, and now you're here. The long-awaited reward you spent a lifetime looking forward to. But what now? After years of growing a nest egg, now you may want to manage it. Use it to fund your dreams. Make it last as long as you need it, and leave some for those you love. So what do? Wall Street continues to be uncertain, and some conservative options have dropped through the floor. How do you maintain opportunities for growth and reduce risk of loss from market changes? That's where we come in. We are Merkle Retirement Planning, your personal retirement planners. From investments to tax reduction strategies. With our Merkle Retirement Method, we can help you reach your retirement goals. You worked a lifetime to get here. Let us help you enjoy it to the fullest. For a complimentary visit, simply contact us today. Merkle Retirement Planning.
Welcome back to Retiring Today. I'm here with Loren Merkle. He's a certified financial planner, and today we're talking about creating income in retirement. And Loren, one way to do it is an annuity. And I know you really feel like annuities kind of get a bad rap, but there's some stuff you want to set straight, I guess, when it comes to annuities.
Well, the interesting thing about annuities is we teach the passport class, and a lot of times I'll ask the question is, how many people in here want an annuity? And maybe out of 50 people, 5 people might raise their hand. And then I'll ask the question, of all the people in here, how many of you like Social Security? And everybody raises their hand, right? Social Security is an annuity. So it's just, if we could just eliminate the term annuity, and when we just talked about what this particular product did for people, then a whole lot more people would be open to using this type of product within the plan. Now, with that said, there are a lot of bad annuities out there. There are a lot of bad annuities. There's a lot of annuities you would not want to touch at all with any of your investment savings. There's also a lot of really bad stocks out there. There's a lot of bad bonds out there. Any type of product category that exists, most of the investments in that product category you would not want as a part of your plan. And the overwhelming point here is whatever product you choose to use, and by the way, if you never want to use an annuity, don't use an annuity. If you don't want to use stocks, don't use stocks. Every product needs to be customized for you based on what you're trying to accomplish. What purpose does this particular product have within your plan? Every product needs to have a purpose, and that purpose should be to serve you and nobody else.
Okay, so what are the different types of annuity, and what do we need to know about them?
There's a lot of different types of annuities. We're going to talk about three main, well, we're really going to talk about one type of annuity, but there's three broad categories that we're going to talk about today. One is the fixed annuity. This is a very simple, clean type of annuity. Usually comes within a 3 to 5 year maturity, and it will pay you a fixed rate. So maybe it's a 3-year annuity, and it'll pay you 1.5% each year for 3 years. Usually there's not any explicit fees involved with it. Any fees that you can see, it just pays you that rate over that specific period of time.
Okay, indexed annuity.
Indexed annuities are newer on the scene. They've been around now probably about 20 years, and there's a lot of complexities involved with fixed indexed annuities. But basically, the return that you receive is going to be based on a particular index. One of the most common is the S&P 500. Most of these fixed indexed annuities are guaranteed. That's why it says fixed. So it's guaranteed you cannot lose. The question is how much are you going to receive? And that is where the index comes into play. So as an example, if the S&P 500 goes up by 5%, if your fixed index annuity gives you 40% of that up, then you make 40% of the 5%. Okay, so if it goes up 10%, you get 40% of it, you get a 4% return. Market goes down by 30%, you get a 0% return, you're happy you didn't lose any money. Guaranteed, but what you receive from a return standpoint is unknown.
Okay, and the last one is a variable annuity.
The last one is a variable annuity, and this is where we want to really focus for this type of conversation that we're going to have now, because 70% of advisors use variable annuities. They are very prevalent. And most of the time when people say, I hate annuities, and you should too, they're talking about variable annuities, because there are layers of fees within these variable annuities, most of which you can't see. And a lot of the advisors don't even know where all of these hidden fees are. So we're going to use a real example. This is a real variable annuity that came in a while ago to the office, and we're going to just break down these different fees. Okay, so there's $114,000 in this variable annuity. The first fee goes for the actual underlying investment of the variable annuity. So how you make money on a variable annuity is based on these separate accounts like mutual funds. And based on the performance of how these separate accounts do, you're going to make money or you're going to lose money, okay? And there's hidden fees within these sub-accounts. Everybody is familiar with Forbes. Forbes did a study. They say the average true cost of mutual funds in the industry is 3.1%. So let's say that this is below average, and the true cost of these sub-accounts is 2%. Okay, so there's 2% fee potentially right there. Every variable annuity, every sub-account's a little different. We're just generalizing for purposes of today. And then we also have the contract cost. Now this is also called most commonly mortality expense. And what this is a life insurance component of your variable annuity. And this is where a lot of confusion exists with variable annuities. For this one, it's 1.4%. What this is let's say this individual, they purchased this annuity 8 years ago for $75,000. It's now worth $114,000. If the market, due to the market, the value of this annuity drops below $75,000, the owner of this annuity passes away, then the beneficiary will still receive that $75,000. So that's life insurance, it's a death benefit. If the owner of this annuity passes away right now, then the beneficiary receives $114,000. So, and this is what we're seeing right now with most variable annuities, is that the value of the annuity is significantly higher than the death benefit because of how the market's performed over the last 10 years. So right now, this particular individual is paying 1.4% or about $2,300 a year for this life insurance that the insurance company is not really on the hook for anything, because if they pass, then the beneficiary is just receiving their account value, their money. And it would take the market correction to take this account value down below $75,000 in order for that death benefit to have any meaning on this account. So this individual is paying $2,300 every single year right now for zero death benefit. And it would take a market decline to take it down below $75,000. So let's say it goes to $50,000, they pass away. Now the death benefit is actually valued at $25,000, the difference between 75 and the 50. This is the most expensive type of life insurance you could buy. In that example, they were paying $2,300 a year for $25,000 of life insurance. You can go to the open market and buy that for significantly less, assuming that you can be underwritten. So one of the most expensive pieces of this type of investment is the death benefit, most of which most people are not using today based on where the market's at. And then this one also has an income rider, which can be good. It can be a real benefit because it gives you some guarantees on your income. And the expense on this is 0.8. So this total investment could be somewhere around 4%, 5% every single year, most of which those costs you can't see. So the variable annuities, because they're not properly explained, most people don't know the nuances of how they actually work. That's where annuities get a lot of the bad reputation, because eventually they find out and now you realize you're paying 4 to 5% for this investment that you thought you were paying 1 to 2 for, and it doesn't really work the way you thought it was. So it's just important to understand whatever product you use, annuities, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, that it has to have a purpose in your portfolio, and that purpose should serve you. And of course, decreasing expenses to a level that's respectable, below 4 or 5%, is always a good thing for you as well.
Okay, definitely something to talk to your advisor about. We'll tell you how to sign up for Passport to Retirement classes when Retiring Today continues.
You have worked for a long time. There are so many decisions to make about your retirement. How much income do you need? How not to run out of money? Now is your chance, and you get one shot to get it right. Attend Merkle Retirement Planning's Passport to Retirement. We will discuss how to create tax-free income, how to avoid the next market meltdown, and how to wring every dime out of Social Security. Your time is now. Classes fill quickly. Call or text today. Zero cost to attend.
Welcome back to Retiring Today. I'm here with Loren Merkle. He's a certified financial planner, and we've been talking about how to have income in retirement. But Loren, that's just one piece of a comprehensive retirement plan. At the Passport to Retirement classes, you talk about all the other components.
Yeah, it's one big component, but there's so much more to consider as you go to and through retirement, like the tax planning element, the healthcare, long-term care, the legacy planning, the investment piece. All of these things need to be considered. So at the class, we dive deep into each one of them to give you a better idea of here's some of the things that you should be thinking about as you go to and through retirement. Here's some of the things that maybe you haven't considered that you need to incorporate within your plan, and the importance of having this overall written comprehensive document.
Okay, so the Passport to Retirement classes, it's a learning opportunity for you. There are locations all around the metro area. There are times and dates on the website. So here are two options. You can text the number you're seeing on the screen right now. If you think you might be interested in the Passport to Retirement classes, there's a number on your screen. You can also go to the website that's on your screen. There's some sign up tabs there as well. And Loren, what is the thing that people really learn at the Passport to Retirement classes that's kind of what they call, the aha moment for people?
Well, one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we received is they had no idea that there was so much involved in retiring. Now, they were starting to get the idea because they had to think about Social Security, 81 different options just within Social Security, but the complexity that's involved in each one of those components is probably the biggest takeaway.
And people should also know that the class is free to attend, and also it's about 2.5 hours long. So that's one great way to start planning for your retirement future. Watching this show is also another great way. We want to say to you, thanks for watching.
You have worked for a long time. There are so many decisions to make about your retirement. How much income do you need? How not to run out of money? Now is your chance, and you get one shot to get it right. Attend Merkle Retirement Planning's Passport to Retirement. We will discuss how to create tax-free income, how to avoid the next market meltdown, and how to wring every dime out of Social Security. Your time is now. Classes fill quickly. Call or text today. Zero cost to attend.
From our family to yours, we hope you have a wonderful weekend.
We hope you enjoy the show.
Good night,